Hello! In this video I'm going to show you how to remotely control your scenes and sources. That is, how you switch between scenes and how you make sources visible and invisible by using a remote control. And guess what? You already have that remote control because it's your phone! Hi, my name is Gerd Christhandl. I'm an online educator and learning technologist at the University of Greenwich in London, UK. I share tips and tutorials to help you build your online and hybrid teaching needs. If you want to stay in the loop, hit that subscribe button below and turn on notifications to avoid missing new videos released on this channel. Cheers! In my last video, I have summarized all previous videos in this series by building our 3-scene setup from scratch. Today, I will show you how to remotely control your scenes, to switch between them, and to control sources, whether you can see them or not on screen, remotely. With that said, let's go! In a few of my last videos, whenever I switched on the overhead camera to show my desk, you probably noticed this little nifty device right here. That is a so-called Elgato Stream Deck. In this case, it's the XL variation. What does it do? It basically gives me a way to control my scenes. I can switch between scenes that I create in OBS by just pressing a button. So I click on the button, I'm here back on my main screen, I click on the button again, and you have the overhead cam view with me as a talking head in the bottom left corner. Of course, that is quite a pricey little device. It is enormously useful to have something haptic, something you can touch, with which you can control the scenes. But it costs upward of £90 with the mini version, all the way up to $230 for the XL version. And that's quite an investment that you not necessarily want to take just for the sake of switching scenes. And you would probably just relate back to clicking on the scenes in your OBS window on your desktop. Can you do the same thing without breaking the bank? Even for free? And the answer is yes. There are a few providers of Stream Deck alternatives. I want to show you one of the big contenders for the best free ways of how to control your videos remotely. And the one that I'm talking about is called Touch Portal. And the free version lets you do most of what you want to do. So first things first, let's go to the Touch Portal website, link in the description below, and download the program. To find the downloads up here on the top right, click on download, find your operating system. Now in this case, Windows is already highlighted because the website has noticed that I am using Windows. If you are on a Mac, then of course use the Mac version, and click on download. As you can see, the download has started. Just double click on the exe file and install the program on your device. So once you've downloaded Touch Portal on your PC and installed it and open it, it will look something like this. Next, we need to get Touch Portal on our phones, because this is where we want to remote control Touch Portal from. For that, you need to go to your either Apple Store on your iPhone or the Google Play Store on your Android device and look for Touch Portal. So, now we're here at the welcome screen of Touch Portal, and we need to establish the connection between the app and the main program, the main application on the PC. To do so, it will advise you actually what to do on the screen. Install the software. It says here we've already done that, so we click on next. Screen safety advice. Click next, and now Touch Portal is starting to scan for a connection to Touch Portal on your device. So in this case, my Touch Portal on the phone, as you can see, has found it on the network. But we're not quite done setting up Touch Portal's connections yet, because Touch Portal also needs to be connected to OBS. In order to do so, we need to download a so-called WebSocket from GitHub. link in the description below. So here on the GitHub website, you will find the OBS WebSocket. Just scroll all the way down and find the installer that you require. Of course, if you're on a Mac, then download the Mac package. Otherwise, I highly recommend to download the OBS WebSocket Windows Installer exe. Use the last stable version. You download the WebSocket, like so, and then you install the WebSocket. So once you've installed the WebSocket on your computer, then please make sure that you are closing OBS and restarting it, because otherwise the tool will not appear. So here we are back in OBS after we've restarted OBS, and where can you actually find the WebSocket now? Well, it is a plugin, and plugins typically appear in the Tools menu here on the top. And then you should find an entry called WebSocket Server Settings. Please leave those settings as they are. It is also recommended that you give this connection a password that authorizes the Touch Portal software on your PC to connect with your OBS. And please make sure that you have authentication enabled and give it a password of your choice. And then click OK. So now we have Touch Portal up and running on the PC. You can see this here on the screen on the left hand side. And we have Touch Portal open and up and running on the phone. You can see this on the screen on the right hand side. Now let's go ahead and think how many buttons we actually want. And based on our earlier deliberations, we want 4 buttons. We want 3 buttons for the 3 scenes that we have, our 3 main scenes. And then we want 1 button that is toggling the face camera on and off in a particular scene. So we need 4 buttons. That means that we can actually change the grid. The grid is basically how many buttons are here set by default, and this is currently a 5x2. You can see this here on the right hand side as well. And we can change that. Now this is just for better visibility here on the PC. Because this is the free version, this might not translate to how it actually looks like on the app. And you also might get a pop-up asking you to take out the Pro version. You can ignore it, you can click that away, there's no need to pay for it. It will do what we want it to do. So let's start by defining the first button. So we go to the first field here, click on it, and it says here Add Actions. On the left hand side you see that there's a list of various types of actions, and invites you to have a look at the other bits here like values and HTTP and visuals and so on. What we want is OBS, so if it's collapsed like this, just open it and you can see that there is a list of actions in blue and a list of events in green. So first click on Set Scene Action. So the button refers to our first scene, and that's the main scene with talking head. So now that scene is addressed, but now we need to tell Touch Portal what happens when we click the button. For that we need to define an event. So we're going to go down here to Events and click on Scene Selected, and when I click this it actually jumps to the next tab here, as you can see. And now it says here when OBS active scene, so that would be in this case the main scene, is or is not. We stay on is for now. Then we change it to the main scene. So basically that would be the command. If we are already on that scene and we click that button, it stays on the scene, nothing happens. But what if we are on a different scene and we click that button, then we want to move to that scene, we want to switch to that scene, so we click on Scene Selected again. But this time we're selecting the state is not, and we're selecting the main scene again. And now we want to make this button visible. So let's give it a text, for instance, main. Just something descriptive. We can select here below the type of font. In build fonts, we can select here the font color. So we can select any font color you like. And the position of the text. I'm going to return to that because we want to define the icon first. So we're going to scroll down a little bit and find here button image. Let's add an icon. You click on change icon, and if you have icons somewhere installed on your computer and you know where, then you can pick them from there. Or you can pick some icons from the inbuilt icon pack. Click on that. You see there's a list of icons here. It's a limited list of icons, so we're going to find something this is as descriptive of the button as possible. And since this can be somewhat stated as our home button, we select the little house icon here and click on add. So now the text is somewhat hidden behind the house icon. So we're going to go back up and going to reposition where the text appears, and we can pop it either on top of it, as you can see here, or below. That's purely personal preference. So what if we would want to make a different background color here? So let me show you what that means. So if I click on save now, you can see, well, there's a button here, and you can see in a minute that is also appearing on the touch portal. So if we're looking at this now, well, this is not very distinctive. It doesn't really show as a button. So we're going to click on it again. We're going to give it a background color different to the gray that we have here. So for that, you need to first unselect transparent background, and then we select a nice color. For instance, we could pick some medium green here. And you see this is a sort of a transient color. I want a solid color, so I'm going to change the second color here as well. So I have one solid color here. Again, this is purely personal taste. And click on save. So now here we have the first button defined. Let's do the second button a little bit faster this time. This is for our second scene. We find the OBS actions. We click on set scene. We select our second scene. Again, we want to behave that button in a specific manner. If the scene is selected, then we don't want to move away from the scene. So we click on is, can change to content with small talking head. That's my second scene. And then I click that again on scene selected. Click on is not. And I click on the same scene. Let's give this a name that's descriptive enough. Let's call this content, for instance. I leave the color as is for now. I already know the position will be below, but I'm going to do my icon first. So I'm going to scroll down. I click on change icon from icon packs, and let's say that I think that content is represented by this table here. So it's an Excel spreadsheet, something like that. So that for me represents my content. I'm going to reposition the text to below as before. Now I give it a different background color. So I switch off transparent background. And to really set this apart, because if it's really visual, if you can see it properly and distinguish it, it's easier to control remotely. So let's pick something a bit darker. Let's pick a red. Red is good. There you go. That's better visible now. And we click on save. You can see this is quite visible now. So now we're going to go ahead and redefine our third button for the third scene. And just as before, set. Click on save, and you see it's appearing right here. And now we're going to click here, and this will now be for the one source, and then we can decide this is just for demonstration purposes. So we need to now select source visibility. That's the action. Yeah, so we want to make a source visible or not. And if you leave this on toggle here, you don't need to define an event for it. So again, we give it this very simple for the scene, and let's say which scene would make sense. So for instance, what if I wanted to switch off my face cam in the overhead cam source? So I select that scene here, and then I click on the face cam source. Let's give this again a nice name. Let's call this face cam, and maybe even indicate where. Yeah, face cam overhead. I click transparent background off, and let's make this. Let's give this turquoise color here. There you go. You can see there's a lot of other settings that you can choose. If you don't want rounded corners, you want pointy corners, I just leave it as is. I change the icon from the icon pack, and let's say I pick the sun because when my face appears it's shining. Let's click on add, and there you go, and we click on save. In the app, click on the little cog item on the top right. It gets you to the settings on the app. And what we want here, or what we want to set here, is actually some kind of haptic feedback when we actually press the button. So if you scroll to the other settings, you can actually select that it should be vibrating on touch. And you can even give it a little in animation here. So if you click here on button press animation, you can select between none, wobble, shrink and squeezy. Let's pick the wobble. So back, and now to OBS. And let's give this a spin, shall we? So I'm here on my main scene, and now I'm pressing the button on my second scene for the content. Now I'm going to my third scene. I'm going back to my first scene, second scene, third scene, and remember that we have a fourth button. If we press that fourth button, the face cam in this scene should toggle off. Let's see if that's actually the case. So I press the button, you can actually show that. So here I have the app that you see here on the right hand side of the screen, and you see that I'm gone. I have switched off my source. And yes, this works with every other source that you define that way. Yeah, that's great. Very useful. Switching back to my main scene, and there you go. You have a remote control for OBS. Isn't that great? Yeah, if you have this remote control to switch between your scenes, you don't have to go to your computer all the time, use the mouse, click on the scene in OBS, switch in between. This even works when OBS is hidden behind another window. However, this is mostly, of course, for home use. If you can use that kind of remote control in your seminar room or in the classroom, that largely depends on the IT policies of your institution. Because ultimately, TouchPortal accesses a computer via a network connection. And your institution might not allow that as a policy. So if you want to use TouchPortal on your phone as a remote control in the classroom, where of course it would be very, very beneficial to do, way more than using it at home, then please get in touch with your IT department, show them the app, maybe show them this video, and then discuss if it would be possible to establish that connection as an exception. Now over to you. My question of the day today is, how would you use TouchPortal or similar software that does a similar job? Would you go for the app first? Would you try to make that work as shown in the video? Or would you want to go straight to a more expensive solution like the Elgato Stream Deck? Please comment below and let me know. If you have any questions about anything that we've covered in this video, then please feel free to also leave me a comment. By the way, if you liked this video, found it useful to your own practices, then please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to stay in the loop when new content is published on this channel. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay hungry for new skills. Bye!